Today is Tuesday, May 6, 2014, and this is the beginning of an interview with Mr. George Lambroff at his home at 629 Ordway Avenue in Bowling Green, Ohio. Mr. Lambroff is 89 years old, having been born on June 10, 1924. My name is Julie Miley, Manuscripts Assistant at the Rutherford B. Hayes Presidential Center, and I will be conducting this interview. Now, Mr. Lambroff, can you state for the record what branch of military, what war, and the years you served, please?
I served World War II with the 3rd Infantry Division from end of May, 1st of June of 43 to 46.
Okay. Now, when you entered the military, were you drafted or did you enlist? You drafted.
I was drafted out of college.
Okay. Now, where were you living at the time?
Living in Toledo.
Okay. And what college were you at?
University of Toledo. We
Hey.
called it Toledo University then.
We were just talking about that today. Somebody came in. I graduated from UT as well, so I'm a fellow Rocket.
Well, I'm pegged by the date. When I say TU, they know that it's a long time ago.
Yep. Okay. Now, what did you have to go to Cleveland when you enlisted, or Toledo?
Yes.
Okay.
I went. No, when I was drafted.
Yeah.
They took the final physical at Cleveland, and then we went to Indiana camp. Oh dear, I can't even remember it. It was just to get rid of our civvies and get our other stuff.
Okay.
And arrange to get these sent home.
Sure.
And then I went from there to Fort McClellan, Alabama, for basic training. I was there 3 months, or approximately. And wait a minute. I got it all down here. That's on this one paper. What did I do with that? Here. The one I don't want to lose. Don't want to lose any of them. There. I was there 3 3/4 months.
Okay.
That's what they got down here. Okay. Then when I got out of there, you want to go?
Sure.
Okay. I thought I would be smart and try to stay in the States. I knew what was going to happen.
Okay.
So I volunteered for the paratroopers. Dumb. They shipped me from there to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I was there 2.5 months. Now, why I was only there 2.5 months, I'll tell you. I went through the basic, the manual, the physical, all right. And you have to make 5 jumps. And I was on my 4th one. It was a low-level night jump, and I misjudged the distance. And I jammed that ankle. That was just enough to throw me out. So they just changed my number back to MOS 745. That was my number, rifleman. And they gave me 10 days delay en route. I never had a furlough all the time I was in service.
Really?
No. I had a 10-day delay en route to going overseas so I could come home and see my family and everything. But that included traveling time from Fort Benning to Toledo, and from Toledo down to Fort Meade, Maryland, which was the assembly for, you had to report there first, and you were only there a couple of days, then they send you over to Camp Kilmore, New Jersey, and you go over from there.
Okay.
So I had 10 days delay en route. I never had a furlough. So I had 2.5 months as a paratrooper training.
Okay.
And it's all there. And it says down here I was a rifleman, served with B Company, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, in the European Theater of Operations. Was familiar with the maintenance and use of all small arms weapons, including hand grenades and bayonets. fired M1 rifle in combat operations to destroy enemy personnel.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right.
That's what they got. I read you what they got. They have what I did in civilian life. I was enrolled in pre-law. Well, I had completed it really. And you want me to tell about this here?
You're after your civilian life?
Well, I'm still in the Army.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what it was. It was kind of forerunner of what became later the GI Bill.
Yeah, and actually I ask questions about the GI if you do take advantage of it.
This is the forerunner of it. It was called an I&E program.
Okay.
Information and Education Program. Now, what it was, they picked out guys that had been in college, and they gave them a test. I was one of them, and I passed it. And they offer you a contract for a year. Mm-hmm. They will send you to one of the European colleges. I went to Heidelberg.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, for a year. That's why I didn't get out till 46.
Okay.
And they gave you a temporary new rank in the Army. I was a warrant officer, temporarily. But I had the option of breaking it if I wanted to, before the year was up. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have done it. And my poor grandmother kept calling me, not calling me, but writing me. Oh, my nickname's Dud. Duddy. I want to see you, and it got to me. I knew Grandma might pass away before you ever see her again. So I went in there, I was about 9 months into it. And I told him, and Charles was a CO yet. I said, I hate to do this, but I got to. I want to see my grandma alive. And so I broke it. And I came back in 46.
Yeah.
August, I think it was the last day of 46.
Okay.
Well, I can verify that. I think it was. I don't even know what this jazz stuff on there when I copied it. I don't know. I wish I had the original. I don't have them. This is all I got. Now, where in the devil did I do with that? Not it. There it is. August 31st of 46, right.
Okay.
Now back to civilian life. And is that all you want there?
Yeah, it's whatever you want to give me, sir.
Well, I immediately went back out to the university and enrolled, and I had problems.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what they were. It bothered me about TAP. Because I'll tell you, when that man died, he died where I was standing a few seconds before. And the guys even said, Jojo, that sniper had your head in his hairs on his scope. And when you jumped out of there and he jumped in, he got him. And I just felt bad. I felt bad. And I felt worse about other guys too. Marshall, he was from the Columbus area. He's one of my boys. Good guy. Marshall's in there. He dead. And the thought was to me, why did they die and not me? I had a bad feeling, and I had to go to VA about it. I admit it. And they worked with me for quite a while. And I wasn't the only one. I found that out. That was very common, I understood. Very common. Why did I survive and my buddies didn't? So I had a problem out to you for a while.
Okay.
But I got through it. Yeah, I had, it tells in here where I went to Heidelberg.
Okay.
Right here, let's see. Oh, I forgot to tell you the other part about that I&E school. In turn, because we had college, they wanted us to be an instructor in some field.
Okay.
Because they had the non-commissioned guys wanted go educate. So they had a school there in Eschwege, Germany, and I taught electricity there. There's some pictures of me in there teaching it. And here it is, Provincial School Battalion, Germany. Electrical theory I taught for 15 months. With an instructor in all types of electrical operations. Was a student at Heidelberg, Germany, enrolled in law. Same period. See, you when you did have class, you had to teach.
Okay.
See, you had to teach, and they got all down there. They got what I had there, 2 years of college. Toledo University, right there, Toledo, Ohio. There it is. I don't know what this stuff here is. It didn't come through, whatever it is. Then it says here, I was a student in college in law, studied subjects such as political science, history, English, philosophy, law studies, economics, and orientation. You know, I haven't read that for a long, long time. They got me there, and I was in pre-law there those 2 years.
Okay.
But anyway, that's the only thing I got left. I don't have anything. Well, that's about it. I'm not going in about my civilian life now.
No. Do you remember your boot camp experiences? Anything like
Boot
was it
camp?
more of a
Basic?
shock for you?
Basic.
Yes.
No, it wasn't really a shock
No?
to me. I participated in a lot of sports.
Okay.
I was a devil for football. In fact, I got a picture of me. You'll laugh. Someplace here. You're gonna laugh. Let me see it. Here it is. That's me there.
Hey, look at that handsome devil.
No, you can't even see. See the leather helmets, no face guards or nothing.
Oh man.
That was when I played football for Wade High School, and that was against Scott.
Oh wow.
That was on a Thanksgiving Day. That was in the old. Well, that was outside the Scott High School. What was a remnant of an effort to build a stadium, but they never did.
Okay. So that basic training
So
didn't...
basic training, as far as the roughness of it, it didn't bother me.
No? Okay.
Didn't bother me. I was pretty much in shape. In fact, I even boxed.
Okay.
Amateur boxing when I was in high school in the middleweight class. Yeah.
Okay.
So nothing. I was pretty well acclimated toward the roughness of it.
Okay. So after you were done with your basic training, where were you sent after that?
Fort Benning.
Fort Benning. Okay.
See, I volunteered for the paratroopers.
Yes.
I wanted to stay in the country.
Yeah.
I knew where I was going to go. You know, one way, what happened to me was I don't know what God intervened to save me or what, but the people that I trained with in Fort Benning were sent to the 101st Airborne Division, and I'll tell you about them.
My great uncle served in the 101st in the World War II.
101st in the Balls was completely surrounded. They were called the Battling Bastards of Bastogne.
Yep, my uncle was there.
Our division and the 63rd Flaming Division, Patton used as a spearhead to get them out of there.
Yeah.
And I remember getting to some of those guys. They had wounds been wrapped for 5-6 weeks. Dirty, crummy,
Yeah.
sticking to their wounds. They had nothing. Battling Bastards of Bastogne. McNulty was the general. He was the one that, when the Germans wanted to surrender, he sent a note back and it said nuts. You probably remember that. Or your relative probably told you about that.
Yeah.
McNulty told him, he said nuts. And they didn't know what nuts meant. He wasn't going to surrender. And we dug him out. God love him, I'll tell you. I like to talk about the guys that took it. They took it.
Yeah.
But I would have been with him.
Yeah.
I would have been with him. Instead of being one of them to help get him out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Battle of Bulge. I remember that. Oh, man. 63rd Flaming Sword Division and the 3rd. Patton liked our 3rd Infantry Division and his 3rd Armored Division. Boy, we spearheaded everything. And he has to go in there and he says, going to get them out of there, you want them out of there. And I think Skinner was the commanding colonel of the 15th at that time. The word came down, he says, and the old man's not going to take any excuses.
Oh, man.
No excuses. Get them out of there. So we did. We got him out. Maybe, was that your uncle?
He said he was in the 101st in the Battle of the Bulge, so...
Well, that was it your uncle?
My great-uncle.
Your great-uncle? Who knows? We might have crossed paths.
Yeah, Ed Erkenbrecher.
I wouldn't know the names.
But, yeah, I had all 3 uncles were over there, so...
Yeah.
In the Army.
We dug them out. They were hungry. They didn't run out of ammo. They were in awful shape. But old McDowdy said he's not going to give up.
Yeah.
He told him nuts.
I know you mentioned this before we started recording, but can you describe some of your combat experiences you had, or you would rather not?
I'd rather not.
Okay.
I like to talk about what the other guys did.
That is fine. Okay.
I told you one of them. I was with Audie when he was awarded that, and he gave 4 of us, awarded us the purple
for
the
you guys
Bronze Star.
instead. Okay.
Bronze Star.
All right. When you were over there in Europe, in that area, were you able to stay in contact with any of your family members? Did you do letters or anything?
I couldn't write much.
Okay.
I get letters all the time criticizing why I didn't write more.
Oh.
Well, I couldn't.
You're a little busy, huh?
I couldn't. But when I could, I wrote.
Did you?
We had the small, what do they call those, Gmails?
They said you would write and then they would shrink them down.
Shrink them down.
I've heard about those.
Well, I used to have a copy of one, and I wrote my mother. I don't know if I got it anymore.
Okay.
She saved it.
Aww. Did you guys have any downtime when you were over there? If you did,
the only downtime is, like I said, would be when after the like on the island of Sicily, we went out. We invaded on July the 10th.
Okay.
We were there for about 31 days, captured the island, and then you might call it downtime, but we're not in combat.
Yes.
But we're training again.
Exactly.
They put us in training. They had the Rangers battalion in there training us for the amphibious landings again.
Sure.
They trained us for the one in Sicily. They trained us for the one in Boudeville. They trained us for Anzio and southern France. Yeah. So there was now the only downtime of any time was after we invaded the Boudeville and we got Naples. Then things settled down. They brought the 45th Division, New York Division in. The 36th was with us. Barney, the one that's in that picture in the wheelchair, Barney's group was there. And they came in and kind of took over, and we was kind of in a relaxed time for a little while. That's when I told Tony, go ahead and find your aunt.
That's what I say. Was that during the time you guys were able just to kind of explore?
That was the only time.
Okay.
We didn't have time to kill.
No.
Actually.
Okay.
Because I had told him, I said, Tony, you're more go, but I said, if we move out, I'm going to have to let you know some way.
Yeah.
I didn't want Tony to get in trouble, but I wanted to find his aunt. Aunt Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana or something like that. Not Louisiana, no, that don't sound right. It was an Italian name, though.
When your service was over, do you recall where you were and when you were finally discharged?
Well...
And what that felt like?
See, I went through a different kind of a discharge because I'd been wounded.
Okay.
They sent me to New York, and from there I had to go to Cryle Hospital in Cleveland. It's not there anymore.
Okay.
Veterans Hospital. And they would give me the final examination as my condition, and then issue me my discharge. And that would have been the 31st of August of 46.
Okay. So then after you were done with that, you came back home to Toledo?
Then I was home. I went home. Yeah, I remember I came home on a Sunday.
Oh. And did your parents know you were coming
No.
home? So you surprised them?
I still have a key to the house.
Did
And I opened the door and went upstairs, and my sisters saw me first. God love them. One's dead now. And they just screamed and hollered.
Oh, that's such a good story.
Woke my mom up, my stepdad, and they got up, and they was all so happy to see me.
Oh.
I never told them I was coming.
You know, out of all the interviews I've done, all the World War II guys, they said they never told their parents. They just come and they'd knock on the door. They'd just walk in and...
I used my key and went in the house.
Yep. So...
I got a cab from the train. I took train in from Cleveland into Toledo. Got off at the old depot. It was off of Summer Street at that time. And I got a cab and came home. And let myself in.
Okay. So after you kind of got acclimated back into civilian life, what did you do?
Well, that's when I went back to school.
Okay.
I went back to school right away.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, I was rolled there for the September term.
Oh, wow.
I got out on 31st. Mm-hmm. And I went right to school. And that's what I found out. I had the problems. Mm-hmm. Because I got good grades when I was there before. I started struggling because it was bothering me. It was bothering me about TAP, bothered me about Marshall, and different ones.
Okay. So did you end up graduating? Or what kind of work did you do?
Well, what I did, I was into law, and then what I did, I decided law. Well, I got into trouble with the law professors out there too. And I'll tell you what I did. I'm not ashamed of it. I can't remember the name, but one of them was it was about traffic laws and that, and I told the professor, I raised my hand, I said, I want to set up a hypothetical case for you. That's typical way lawyers talk, hypothetical. Mm-hmm. And I said this, let's say that two men run the same red light, and both of them are stopped by the cop, and both are given a ticket for the same thing. Now, they go to traffic court. First one comes up there, guilty or not guilty? Well, Your Honor, I don't know. Well, policeman witness here that you did this. All right. They'll take the policeman's word over yours. So anyway, guilty, $50 in cost, pay the bailiff. Next guy did the same thing, charged the same thing. Guilty, not guilty, same thing. $50 in cost. Your Honor, I don't have the $50. 3 days in jail. 3 days in confinement. Professor, what did he go to jail for? The red light, or he didn't have the money?
Oh.
They hated me for that. Another one was about on degrees of punishment. Mm-hmm. Degrees of charges.
Okay.
I set that one up too, hypothetical. And this guy really dressed me down. I said, let's say we got a mansion over here, a multimillionaire, and this thief goes and steals $10,000 worth of jewels from a multimillionaire, which is pittance, and he's apprehended. He's charged with grand larceny. Now, this guy over here, he's got 6 kids. The only thing he's got is a loaf of bread on the kitchen table to feed 6 kids. That's all he's got left. Another guy goes over and steals that loaf of bread. Mm-hmm. He's charged with petty larceny, yet he told everything that guy had to feed 6 kids.
Yeah.
I said, something sounds wrong here, Professor. He's asking me, Mr. Lambroff, I call you Mr.
Yeah.
Then, Mr. Lambroff, perhaps you're in the wrong profession. I said, perhaps I am. And the one that did it was when they had mock trial. Mm-hmm. They divide you up. The professor, you all have to take a part.
Yeah.
I was a defense attorney for a guy that committed murder of his wife. And in the middle of this thing, this guy leans over to me. He said, I'm set up, see? He leans over to me and he says, Counselor, I killed her. I can't say anything.
Yeah.
That's privileged information. I can't say, hey, wait a minute, my client just confessed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold water. I'm in trouble if I do that. Well, all I did, I went ahead and defended him the best I could because I said, if I was a licensed attorney, I'm an officer of the court. And in the oath that I take that office to see that justice is done.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't, justice, as far as his confession, I can't do a thing about it. But I can see that this man is not abused. His rights are not abused by the court.
Okay.
See? So I took that stand, and he dressed me down for it. Oh, his assistant did too. I didn't look for loopholes. See? And that did it.
Okay.
I no more law. I changed.
Okay.
This is in law school now. I completed my pre-law. And so I always wanted to be an engineer, so I went and my counselor, Ed Foster, I don't know if you knew him out there.
Mm-mm.
Well, Ed Foster was the head of the physics department, and I had a long talk with him. And I said, I'd like to change to engineering. And he kind of quizzed me pretty heavily. Not kind of, he did it to me. And we became good friends, Ed and his brother both. He was teaching physics too, but Ed was the head of physics. And so he thought I could make it as an engineer. So I enrolled in the toughest darn course. I thought at first about being an electrical, EE. That was 4 years in those days.
Okay.
And they had a new course started, and I took it. A new engineering physics, 5 years. Well, I went. And I did good. And I was running out of my GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So I had about 13 hours left when I dropped.
Oh.
And I went to work in the skilled trades as an electrician, and I got a journeyman's card. I worked out, made good money.
Mm-hmm.
We got married, and I know the urge to go back and finish it. And I talked with Nance, and she said, by all means, do it. She encouraged me. I said, well, it's going to be kind of tough. Because I said, we won't have much time together. I'll be studying and going to school, and I'm still working.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. We'll make out. See, she just had sold her beauty. She had a beauty shop she owned over in Perrysburg. She had that for 20-some years.
Mm.
So she said, we'll make out. So I did. I went back to school and finished that out. Got that. I went to work for Owens, Illinois.
Oh.
At the tech center.
Okay.
In R&D, worked there 28 years. During that time, they hired me into R&D there. I worked I specialized in electro-optics. And my Baker, my one boss, and Del McGraw, the other boss. Del was the one who really enticed me to do this. He said, George, you've done so good. And he said, he put me in for a group leader.
Oh, okay.
And he says, I'd like to see you get your master's too. So I went back and got my master's. And they paid for it. Oh, I paid 100% for it.
Wow.
Boy, I'll tell you, they were good in those days, I'll tell you. So I got my master's. And then while we moved here, and I said, I don't want to be a lawyer, but I like to have the degree just to finish it out. So I did it, and I finished it. So I got a JD.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's my education. I got a lot of it the hard way.
Yeah. Do you belong to any military organizations?
Oh, American Legion, VFW, and the DAV, all three.
Okay. Do you still keep in contact with any of your former, after you got out?
Well, I
Even
did.
before they passed away?
I did. See, I saw Murph about 3 times.
Okay.
Then I saw him the third time. I saw him twice at reunions of the third. And I run into him in, it must have been 1970. I think he died in 71 in that plane crash.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got copies of that stuff all here,
Okay.
paper. But anyway, I had to go to Chicago for the company at a meeting on some plastics up there. And I got into O'Hara, and I don't know if you've ever been to O'Hara. It used to be a long walk to down to where your baggage is. It's a long walk. And I was making that walk, and I heard a loudspeaker, and I thought they said something about Audie Murphy. And I thought, am I hearing things? And I just go along. I had my tote bag, but I had the other bag down there yet. And all of a sudden it came out, would Mr. Audie Murphy please come to the American Airlines counter? I knew I heard it then. So I got in a trot, and I run down there, and I saw Audie. He was up at the counter, and we talked for about 20 minutes there. And that's after he'd had a lot of problems out there. Mm-hmm. He'd gone through bankruptcy and everything. He was playing the horses bad.
Oh.
I knew a lot about Audie that others didn't know. Yeah, he threw 21 grand away on a horse.
Oh, my gosh.
But Audie did a lot. People don't know. He put himself through pilot school.
Yeah.
He had a licensed pilot. But he wasn't flying that plane
Okay.
that went down. No, I knew a lot about Audie. Audie was like me about keeping yourself armed.
Yeah.
Audie was worse than I was. He slept with it. He had it with him all the time. All the time. He wouldn't be without it. He told me that. He asked me that time. I said, no, I don't carry it all the time. I got a permit to carry now, but I don't always carry it.
Okay.
I got to tell you, I got to stop you. I put this on tape. And bodies. I never saw such huge holes in my life. And we saw 8 crematoriums. Well, I'll get to this in a minute. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what we were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I got on the horn, I got on the radio, got the radio man, I said, get a hold of battalion headquarters. And I talked to Major Nozak, he was a battalion commander. And remind me to tell you a funny thing that reminds me about Tapley.
Okay.
After a while, another funny thing. I told him the situation. I said, I don't know what to do, sir. He said, just hold tight there. He said, I'll get the CIC and CID boys out. That's the Counterintelligence Corps and the CID. Now, I'll pick this up. That's them. And this one guy, he was the first Louis. He was outranked by all those other guys. This is the thing. I had a kid from Wisconsin. He was Jewish. I was Jewish. Mm-hmm. I'm a baptized believer in Jesus Christ now. Mm-hmm. But this boy and I was the only 2 Jews, and he went wild when he saw this. One of these guards. Well, see, these camps were run by the SS stormtroopers. They were diehards. They evacuated. They had these regular Wehrmacht German guys in there, and they were all older guys. Some of them we talked to, interviewed them. They only been in the Army 3 weeks. One of them was 63 years old that I talked to.
Good.
Only been there 3 weeks. Well, anyway, make this long story short, one of these guys said to this kid from Wisconsin, he said, haben Sie eine Zigarette bitte? have you a cigarette, please? And I don't know if you ever saw an M1 Grand rifle that we used. The shoulder had a metal plate on it, see? And he took that and hit him in the jaw, just shattered his face. And I had to stop him. And he took offense at me stopping him. He said, "You're Jewish. How can you take this?" I said, "I don't want to become like them. I don't want to become like them." And I said, "I don't want to be a forced witness at your court martial either. Because if someone saw him, he'd have been thrown in stockade and held for court martial. You're not supposed to do that." And I've been forced to be a witness against my own man. I couldn't, I hated that. So I said, "Someday you may thank me. I know you're angry now, but someday maybe you'll thank me." Well, that occurred there. And then we saw all this, I saw these bodies lined in rows and that. And I broke down finally. This is what broke me down. Those are boxcars on a siding there, and these are little kids from about eight up. Now those at one time were human beings. There's a lot of that. I'm not going to waste time with it. See, that's just what that is. A truckload of them. Terrible. There's more. It's just terrible. There's the little kiddies. That broke me up. Innocent little kids. No, all were innocent. No one did anything to deserve that. Well, anyway, and there's some more. Let's get past it. Now, here's a picture. It has to be me. Now, I know that's me because I remember when the 3rd Circle Corps was taking these pictures. This is the first Louis. I can't remember his name. I think he had kind of a French-sounding last name. And I was showing him there was bodies there. And that's me there, standing there with my back. I know that's me. I remember when this was taking place. But anyway, that's all junk now. But
Okay.
that was settled, and we pulled out of there and we went southeast more, and then we hit Austrian border.
Okay.
And we were, the 7th Regiment took Birch's Garden first. That was Hitler's mountain hangout. It was all bombed out. And they moved us in to help them. And we were there just when they raised the American flag over Hitler's. That was a good feeling. And then from there, it was only just down road trot to Salzburg. Salzburg's in the valley, just below that. That's where we were when the war ended.
Okay.
But I don't know anything else. Oh, well, I will tell you that thing about TAP. It's funny. This is a situation I don't think the Army ever faced before. When Murph was awarded a Congressional Medal, I'll tell you what happened there. I was there, of course. Murph got on the back end of a smoldering, burnt tank destroyer, TD. It belonged to 601st TD outfit that backed us up. And they got hit on the front end, but he got in the back end and found out the 50 caliber was working. So he got up there, and they couldn't see him. The crowd's coming. There was about 1.5 companies of guys against one company, our company. And then tanks coming out to support him. But they couldn't see Murph too well there, and he was mowing them down.
Okay.
But then he told me, Tony was right there when he said it. He said, "Jojo, get the platoon back in the woods." We started to go back. Took a few steps. Tony looked at me and I looked at him, and we both said at the same time, "We can't leave him here alone." And I said, "We're not going to." I told the platoon, I said, I picked out Tap, Marshall, Tony, and Leo Conkle. He was a squad leader. I had 5 guys. Well, who's the other one? I can't remember now. But I had 5 guys plus myself. And I set up right at the edge of the woods, a little skirmish line. to kind of protect his right flank there. So, and Tap went up to the BAR man, that's the Browning automatic rifle, it can fire fully automatic. And he took it, he said, I want that. He took it right from the guy. And he brought it with him, and what he did, we were all laying down there, he'd be there, and he'd roll over here and fire a burst, and then throw the clip out and put another one in and roll. He kept doing that, see? And we took a captive Kraut, and I could speak some German, and I interviewed him, and he said he thought it was a machine gun. See?
So he was going so
but
fast.
Tap was fooling them, see? With it, firing from different positions all the time, see? Well, anyway, I put him in for Silver Star. Murph put us in for the, four of us in for the Bronze Star, and I didn't know. I said, who put us in for that, Murph? He said, I did. I said, why'd you do that? I said, well, I should have court-martialed you. Disobeyed my orders. And then he laughed, you know. Well, anyway, that's the story behind me putting Tap in for the Silver Star. That's the better award. See, that's right behind the Legion of Merit.
Okay.
But the third highest. So here we are. They have the regiment out on the field there, and they outfit us all different new khakis. We didn't have ties on. We had the shirt and pants and everything and jackets. So they give us orange scarves to put around our necks and tuck them in. So they're calling up the guys one by one. It was Colonel, I think that was McGarr at that time. And Major Nozak was his adjutant. Our battalion commander was his adjutant. So he's standing there at a long mic there, Colonel McGarr, and to the back of him about 3 steps and 2 to the right is Major Nozak. So all the regiments had attention out there, and they're calling up these guys one by one to award the medals. See, there were different guys won different things, and I don't like to use that word. You don't win medals. It's like a guy asked me, he says, "Oh, you won the Purple Heart?" No, I said, I got that because I lost.
You're right. Yeah.
You win when you don't get the Purple Heart. But anyway, they called up Private First Class Vernon Tapley. He came up there and he's standing about 2 feet away from the colonel, and the colonel reads off what he got the reward for. And Tap leans forward, and the mic's picking everything up. He leans forward and says, "I don't want it, sir." And, well, he says, "I just read what your sergeant wrote down here." He says he don't know what the hell he's talking about. It's going all over. And Major Nozak stepped forward and whispered something to him, and then he said, "Well, I just got on good report that your platoon sergeant has been a good combat veteran. That's the only time I heard one good word about me." But anyway, and he said, "Well," and then Tap answers me and said, "He was a good combat veteran, sir, but he still don't know what the hell he's talking about." He's insistent. And Colonel McGar's getting speechless. He don't know what to do with this guy.
Yeah.
Finally, Major Nozak comes up again and whispers in his ear, and Colonel McGarr steps aside. Major Nozak's in front of the mic now, and he called the regiment to attention and immediately dismissed us. Everyone's laughing. And everyone said the same thing as I said. I bet that never happened in the history of the Army. I know it had to go on his record that it was given to him, but he wouldn't accept it. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't accept the medal.
Wow.
Oh, now that's my funny things about the other guys.
Okay.
And Murph, I thought the world of Murph. There's a picture in here. This is when I went to the War Museum in 2009. There's a picture Well, there's my wife and I. She met me. She was there to greet me when I came home.
Aw.
I lost her 56 years.
Aw.
That's Senator Dole.
Okay.
He greeted us there. And this guy in the wheelchair, this is the guy that took care of two of us. He took care of Barney. He was in a wheelchair. He was a veteran of the 36th Infantry Division, one of our sister divisions. So where we were, they were there. And I'll tell you about him. We lined up there, kind of semicircle, and he called, Barney was on the end in his wheelchair. And he called Barney up first, and I thought this was going to be a political jump, you know. Mm-hmm. And he talked to Barney for about 10 minutes, and then Barney was wheeled back, and he motioned to me, and I had this cap on. See?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you saw it there with my wife. That's the cap I had on. Where's that at? Well, yeah, there it is, see?
Okay.
That's the cap I had on. And I had it on, and Senator Dole stepped in front of me, and he says, 3rd Division, I know you well. He said, you guys caught hell at Anzio, didn't you? See, what we didn't know, we know we caught hell, but we didn't know that later on, Anzio was the worst battle in Europe. Mm. We didn't know at the time. We lost an awful lot of men. And I said, yes, we did catch hell, but I said, I realized, Senator, I said, I was in the first wave, but I saw you guys hanging from ropes, trying to get up the cliffs. I said, you was in the 10th Mountain Division, weren't you? He says, yes, sir, I was. I said, that's where you was wounded, too. Now, I'll tell you something about him. He didn't tell me this. I knew this about him before I ever met him. Mm-hmm. He was hit by the after effects of an 88 shell that blew up a few feet away from him, and it tore him from his groin right straight up here, and mutilated his arm and his hand. I don't know if you ever saw him when he was in a business suit when he was a senator. He always carried a pen in that hand.
Oh, really?
So that no one would shake hands with him. He couldn't stand the pain. And he was 3.5 years in the hospital. They didn't know he was going to live or die. 3.5 years. He was so tore up. That's the kind of guy he is, see. I don't know what you are politically. I'm not. Doesn't matter. I don't go for parties. I go for the character of a person. That's it. Oh, we'll go to something else. That was my first command as platoon sergeant. I'm 19 years old. It's burnt in my mind. January 22nd, 1944 was the day of the landing. First time I was platoon sergeant. And you have 36 men. I had 4 squads of 9 men. And I had 5 new replacements. They hadn't seen combat. So I'm trying to clue them in. I said, now I'll tell you fellas, we're going on this is a landing barge, not an LSD. I said, that front end will go down. And I said, when I go down, don't stand in the middle.
Yeah.
See? Don't stand in the middle. I said, I've been through this a couple times before. I said, Sicily and southern Italy, boot of Italy. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. Well, 2 of the guys did. They got cut down. They were killed right on the barge. So I only had 34. So I'll tell you what I did. Well, what would Murph do? So I tried to imitate Murph, because he was successful at it. He did the right things at the right time. So I hollered back at the boatswain, Navy, 3 Navy guys on there, operating that barge, and I said, pull that ramp up and back off a minute. We got to make some changes here. He says, I can't do it. I turned my gun to him. I did. And I said, I got an awful itchy finger, fella. He did. He raised up, backed off. I said, dude, that's enough. I just got to get some things settled here. So I got 34 guys left. I said, the 1st and 2nd squad line up single file on the right, against the right gun rail, gunwale, and the 3rd and 4th squad do the same thing on the left. I said, now that's what I want to do, what Murph would do. Murph would never ask anyone to do something he wouldn't do himself. So I said, I'll go off first with the 1st and 2nd squad. And each one of you guys go off single file and keep about 12, 15 feet between you when you go off. And when you hit that water, I said, if it's deep, now I think we hit a sandbar, so I don't know. But if it is deep, try to get up and get your head above water and keep your weapon above water. And when I got through, Carl Lane, he was my squad leader, the 3rd squad. He was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's another comical thing. He was a cut and dry swamp hound. When he talked, oh man, you could cut it with a knife. And I used to call, where are you from, Carl? I do it deliberately just to have him say, he said, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I said, Baton Rouge, Louisiana? He said, Jojo, I told you Louisiana, not Louisiana. He was older than me. He was 23. He was the oldest squad leader. So Carl comes over and he said, Jojo, I'll take the 3rd and 4th off. See, that's the kind of guys we had. You love these guys. So I said I'd take the 1st and 2nd squads off. He's going to take the 3rd. We got him ashore. But about 10, 11 days later, I had 9 guys, myself, an aide man, and a radio man. That's all I had left. I had 8 guys killed. The rest of them wounded. 2 of those 9 was wounded in the legs, but they wouldn't go back. They wanted to stay there with me. See, that's what it does. When you watch a guy lead the right way and you do the same thing, they'll stay with you.
Yeah.
They stayed with me. In fact, I was wounded in my left elbow here. On I caught a, it was probably 9mm, just grazed me there, see. But I was bleeding like a horse anyway. And Major Nozak called, and the radio man came up to me and handed me the phone, and I said, radio, and he said, did you reach your coordinates, Sergeant? I said, yes, we did, sir. Tell me, what's going on? And I told him, I said, we got about 1.5 company of infantry facing us, and I said, there's 2 Tigers, oh, there's 3 coming out of the woods now. And he said, don't worry, I got some help on the way. Well, the 41st Field Artillery was back away, a few miles back, and we said they're firing 250 shell, armor-piercing stuff. They started firing those. They were sailing over our head. One of them accidentally hit one of the tanks, blew it up, and hit it in the only way you kill one of those German tanks, you got to hit it in the rear, where the ammo was at. It blew it up. And I said, sir, I don't know what the coordinates are, but tell those guys to fire for effect right now. I said, they accidentally hit one. And when they hit that first one, the infantry started slowing down. And when they saw the other stuff coming in, they started turning. They didn't have as much armor to protect them anymore, see. They turned it around. And then he sent Dog Company up, heavy weapons infantry, to help us out. But that was a close one. No, I told him, I said, we're either going to get taken out or we're going to be taken prisoner. We can't hold it.
Yeah.
Not enough of us here. But and then when I told him about the 2 guys wounded wouldn't go back, and my aide guy, Red, we call him Red, he got killed in Germany, accidentally. Not accidentally, he was killed deliberately by the Germans. He crawled out to assist a German wounded, and they killed him. I'll never forget that. But anyway, Red Howard's in the phone. He says, in the radio, he said, yeah, he's wounded too, but he won't go back. Well, I wasn't hurt like that. I just got one that bled quite a bit on my tricep here. At that time, I had pretty big arms on me. I don't have any more. But anyway, that's the worst of it. I don't know anything else. Oh, I will say here, on my trip, I didn't show that. I went over. Dee, who was a supervisor then, I asked her when she called me to go, it's all planned out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I said, we was going to go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And I said, well, now that's just across the way from where Murph is buried. See, he died in a plane crash in 71.
Yeah.
See? And I said, do you suppose I can take time? George, we don't have time for that. Well, when we got there in this bus, I was in the back end, so I was one of the last ones out. And when I got up there, she stopped me and she said, George, I got news for you. Two of my assistants are going to take you over there. And so they did, and they took the pictures. Here's his grave. I got his grave there that I took. See, I went down there and said right the year after. That's his grave there. This is one that I took. And there's his grave with the others in the background. I took those in 71, I think it was. I don't know if it's on here, probably. No, 72. 72.
What's the significance of the pennies on top?
Well, that was flooring to me. But now I look like I'm laughing. I'm not. I'm shook up. I'm crying.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm crying. I looked at that grave. We've been through so much, and now here he lies because of a plane crash. Mm-hmm. It just got to me. I'll tell you about those pennies. I don't know. There's the only stone that had them on.
His was?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the whole bunch there. And you can see where his... Now, this is the one I took in 72. It's, of course, the same grave, see? Mm-hmm. And all the ones in the background. No one had those on but his grave when we were there in 2009. I never saw those in there before that. And I kept thinking about that. Something about that rings a bell to me. Now, I remember, I go back to Judaism.
Okay.
I wonder if there was now, Murphy, of course, wasn't a Jew.
Uh-huh.
But I remember an incident with my father going to a funeral, and then when we went to the cemetery, just as we got to go through the cemetery gates, there was a pile of little white gravel stones like. And I noticed that everyone who went through, they picked one of those up. And later they put it on the casket. And I asked my dad about it, and he said, well, that's to let them know that we were here. See? And I wonder if that had some significance here. They want to let him know that they were there. But they were pennies. I don't know the story yet. I just remember that incident with my dad.
Okay.
And I wondered if it wasn't the same kind of thing here.
Okay.
Because no one else had them.
Yeah.
But, okay, I've talked enough. Points. They give you points on getting you home. See?
Yes.
That World War II, you had to have accumulated of 85 or more. I was over that. But while I was in the hospital, my regiment goes home, 15th Regiment. When I'm released, they transferred me to Charlotte. No, first they transferred me to headquarters company of the 30th Regiment. See, there were 3 regiments, the 7th, the 15th, and the 30th. That's how I mixed up. I was putting down there, talking about the 750. I wrote 7 down there that time.
Okay.
I called you about, see? And so anyway, the 15th came home. They put me in headquarters company. I was only there about a day or a day and a half or something. And they put me in Charlie company of the 30th. That's how I run up against Captain Charles Murray.
Okay.
The second Irishman that won the Congressional Medal. That was his company.
Wow.
See, I ran into him at Anzio at the aid station. See, but so he said, I don't know what to do with you. I got a first sergeant. Well, I was a 5-striper then. Well, you can see that in my cap. I was 5-striper, and Steve Bailey was his first sergeant. He was with Charles in combat, and the company was composed of all guys that come over and seen replacements. There wasn't one combat veteran left there. There was all replacements. So they were all guys that never. So they had me. I would take call at in the morning, and they put me in charge of an NCO nightclub at night. Keep me busy. But anyway, that's how I got to know Charles real well. He's a heck of a nice guy. In fact, I can show you a letter. Where's those papers? I had them here. What did they do with it? Oh, they're here. Here they are.
Okay.
Here they are. Keep them all together. I don't know. When I was a regular member of the 3rd Infantry Division Society, you had to have a sponsor
Okay.
to be a life member. So I wanted to be a life member, and I called Charles because he was the chairman of the Congressional Medal of Honor winners. And I asked him, I said, Charles, would you be willing to be a sponsor for me? He said, by all means.
Mm-hmm.
So where in the world, I got it in here someplace. Where's it at? I know I got it here. Put them all together. Here it is. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. I think his name is on there. No, that's not. That's yours.
Is that my stuff?
What did they do with that? Yes, it is. This is the right one.
Is
Yeah,
it?
there he is. There he is.
Okay.
Referred by Charles Murray. So he sponsored me.
Okay.
So I became a life member in 2009, I think it was. The year I went down. Well, it was early in that year. Yeah. Charles was a great guy. He was a great guy. I like both of the Irish guys. They were both good guys. Charles and Audie both were good. Audie had a tough life.
Oh.
Well, anyway, that's the background of that.
Okay.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I'm in the hospital, and I was bedridden for a long time. They wouldn't let me get up, and they were giving me high doses of insulin. When penicillin.
Okay.
When it was more scarce than it was later. And I was getting a 5 grain of tablet of sulfur every 6 hours, and they finally had to take me off that. I blocked up with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she was my nurse. And I don't know, we got talking friendly and everything, and she was single, I was single, and I said, I told her, I said, Francis, I said, when I get to be a walking patient, see, the hospital was right across the street from the USO building.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to take you over there, we're going to have some coffee and donuts and dance. And I said, saying that, kidding, I never dreamt it ever happened. And I was up there with my blue bathrobe on one day going around talking to the guys. In the door comes Francis in civilian clothes. She said, okay, I'm ready, let's go. See, she changed to civilian because she couldn't wear bars because that's against Army rules.
Mm-hmm.
You can't date someone like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we went over there, we had our coffee and donuts, and we got out there and danced, and I like to jitterbug then. And I started jitterbugging, and she said, whoa, wait a minute. She said, I said, what's the matter? Don't you want... Oh, I love to jitterbug, but she says, Mama sent me this one pair of hose. That's the only pair I got. I don't want to ruin them. So we just didn't dance that stuff anymore. But I always remember her. She was cute. Yeah, and she called years ago there and said she was contacting her boys.
Aww.
She wanted to know how I was and everything. I was doing fine then. My wife was doing good, of course, in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm happily married. Been married, I forgot how many years then, quite a few.
Aw.
Because we didn't marry young. We married in 1956.
Oh, okay.
And we married 56 years. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
But, oh, I miss her too. I miss
Oh,
her
I
terribly.
bet.
That little girl there is my great-granddaughter. And she never saw her. Isn't she a doll?
Oh, how old is she?
She was a year old in April the 15th.
I have a daughter. She was born in January, so she's just over a year as well, so about the same age.
Yeah. She was a year the 15th of April.
Aw.
Oh, she's a doll. That's her up there.
Oh, it's so cute.
My wife used to have all my Army stuff up there, and I took it down.
Yeah.
And I gave it to her dad.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry now.